Hi guys, welcome back to the Health, Wealth and Happiness podcast. Today I'm joined by serial entrepreneur, successful online coach, Ben Heron, who's gone through his own journey, his transformation journey himself into where he is now in business, running a very successful online health and fitness business, as well as helping loads of online coaches grow and scale their companies online as well. So he's a fantastic guest. I'm really looking forward to you guys learning his revelations and hearing his story. So Ben, how you doing? You okay?
Good. I'm good.
Thank you.
Have me on, bro.
Yeah, I appreciate it. We've already done one podcast with Ben this morning on the Peak Performance podcast. He's been through a hell of a journey in his own transformation journey, which he shared. So if you want to go and check that out, learn a little bit more about Ben and where he's been, go and check it out. Ben, like you did on that podcast, I think it would be good here as well. Just tell us a little bit more about you, your background, your story, so people can really vibe and gel with you.
Okay, so quick little snapshot. I'm the owner of the Level Up Coaching Academy. I've been coaching for about 10 years or so now. Pretty much, I got into this industry. I didn't actually want to be a coach. I was training a lot myself. I was seeing the effect that it had on me, and I just talked about it. I didn't really have a voice in the real world, but I had a voice online. So I did, and a lot of people started to see that and started to see this squeaky kid speak up and stack on muscle. I was like, what's he doing? And I made a post about New Year's resolutions and why we have such a negative view. And my goal was a New Year's resolution. It was a bit of a fuck you to everyone, I'll not lie, but it got a lot of attention. And it got attention of a gym manager, and the gym manager had a look and just scrolled through everything and actually had loads of people already like putting up their results with me, tagging in with me. There was a lot of, I didn't even realize it, but I was building pretty much a client portfolio without even realizing. So yeah, I got into personal training. I gave it a crack. I just took out a $5,000 loan and I got my qualifications. And I was just, at that time, I actually had a coach that was extremely knowledgeable, but wasn't great at giving me like what I needed and giving me the communication. So I always describe this sort of phase in the first year or two. I was almost like a personal trainer butler. What I mean by that is like I was on every single client. Any excuse that you had, I suffocated it. Like you were traveling, I was telling you what you were eating at your hotel. Like there was just no room for error. So that really got me insane results. One of my first ever clients lost 9 stone in 10 months, and that had a massive domino effect. And within the space of 2 years, I ended up becoming personal trainer of the year in my country, and just from sheer results. And then as time went on, I started to specialize in working with skinny guys. And then as time went on there, after a few years, a lot of these guys were coming to me for much more than just building muscle. They were coming to me for the mindset talks. They were coming to me because they wanted to progress on different goals. So then I created Level Up Academy. And yeah, here we are now, 10 years down the line, and specialising, working with men, and served in 22 different countries we've had clients from. So yeah, that's a small snapshot.
Hell of a CV, hey?
Yeah. I could go on, but I try to. I get those people that talk on for ages.
No, it's good. It's good. Yeah. I want people to know, because we have a lot of online coaches who are watching this right now who want to emulate and achieve the success you've achieved and what you've done. And that's what this whole podcast is about, is a peek behind the curtain of what you've learned to get to where you've got to today. And obviously it started with your own transformation journey and how you ultimately became an authority, been recognized by your own country for ultimately the work you've done as well, which is huge. I guess, like you say, you never wanted to be a coach in the first place. It stumbled upon you and you fell into it and you realize, hang on, I'm actually pretty good at this.
Yeah.
And it, like you said, domino effect from there that spiraled into you creating a community of men that wanted to hear from you because you were walking the walk, to a position where you created Level Up Academy. And now then you also started to help online coaches grow and scale their companies as well, because you were seen as an authority in doing that, right? Yeah. How did that come about?
So yeah, around 7-8 years ago, I joined the Mentorship. So I did. And this was really like, I'd already been doing quite well compared to most average personal trainers, online coaches. But when I got that was my first sort of real exposure to any form of like business insight, marketing, those things. And I just took to it really well. And I was a sponge, and I implemented and then shared, implemented, then shared. And people like people came to me and said, you know what, I actually get so much like help out of
Yeah.
seeing you doing it.
Yeah.
And then that mentorship at that time, they then brought me on board, and I worked in that mentorship for 5 years, and I was doing that on a day-to-day basis, helping other coaches really grow and scale and develop a better coaching service. The two main areas that I really specialized when doing that was delivering an incredible service and getting incredible results.
Yep.
But then secondly, it's just selling in a really authentic way, almost transformative selling. That was what I was always told from the clients. It's just, I really like how you articulate yourself. I really like how you make the other person feel when you're selling. People always said to me, like, you have a great way with words, and how you do it is very smooth and slick. So they'd be the two main aspects: is the coaching aspect, building a community, and then also as well the selling.
I think the big thing you said, and we've always spoke about for you and your identity as a coach and as a businessman, has been that back end, where so many online coaches focus about the front 4 steps of a conveyor, about lead gen, authority attraction, all that. And that's not important to you, but you really double down on the back end, world-class results, let that do the talking for people to be like, okay, I'm interested, tell me more, kind of thing.
100%. Like, see, even if you kept your client for twice the amount of time in business, that's like, that's always stayed with me. And when that first ever client I told you about that lost 9 stone in 10 months, that probably gained me 25 clients a year. And like, when you look at that, say an average coach, like back then I was charging peanuts, but say your average coaching price, even £200-300 a month, 25 average lifetime value of 18 months, like that's a considerable amount of money for the business. So like, I do really feel like people overlook that. Because again, it's slower, it's longer, but has a massive effect.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Is that the...
No, that's all fine. We'll carry on. No, but absolutely. Like, so obviously your service has been huge from a back-end fulfillment standpoint, but also, like you said, from a service and selling standpoint, you've taken that term selling out of it, and it's more serving, in the sense that when you hop on consultations with people, you've been thinking, this is your problem, this is the solution to your problem, and being that problem finder and problem solver, and then truly becoming the trusted advisor in becoming that problem solver that they're going to invest in. And why? Because you're authentic, and you build that like, know, and trust very quickly in how you conduct yourself. I think that's a massive thing in online health and fitness coaching, is that people wait for this all big sales script and everything else. But when you realize sales is conversations, and it's being that trusted individual where you can identify problems and create solutions to problems in a logical sense.
1,000,000%. And one of the things that I really do, and I think that too many people are trying to tell people what they need to do, whereas my sort of approach is, right, why are we here in the first place? Like, why can't let's backstep to why we're 30 pounds overweight. And when you help the individual and you literally just grow a curious mind to help them understand, and you empathize with them, like, they've realized the problem themselves, and they've realized what they need to do about it. And then here comes your service that they've seen the proof and seen what it needs to do. And they're in that moment, it's just smooth. It's not, you're not trying to get anyone into your program, because they're like, right, okay, I now realize. It's just helping them find out what lifestyle, what thinking, what situations got them to this position.
Absolutely. So obviously, then you were saying, obviously, with the growth of your online health and fitness business, other Fit Pro mentors recognized that, and they were like, you know what, I'll take you. I'll come and let you come and help more and more people. And obviously, you've now had that exposure of helping hundreds of online health and fitness coaches enable them in their businesses. What's that been like?
That's been incredible. Like, it really has been incredible. It's been incredible to, like, to know that I've had a big impact, not only just on coaches, but on their clients. And like, I was responsible for creating trainings, I was responsible for how they do things, how their service is outlined, etc. So that has been massive. And like, longer term, I do want to basically have a dent on the industry of some form. and definitely on that impact of actually helping people deliver a better service. And the other thing too is like, not many people have been doing coaching for a long time. So there's still so much, there's still so much development. I do think, as you said earlier on, so many people are focused on the marketing, the sales, and they're missing that. They're missing that. Like, if you, the thing I used to say to the coaches and things is like, if you had 10 clients lined up, would 9 out of 10 of them get an absolutely incredible result and actually be talking about it to their friends and family, and for everyone to notice and change in them?
Yeah.
If not, we need to reverse engineer. We need to see what's going on. And again, it doesn't need to be all these crazy automations. It's just simply like actually finding out what's the issue with the individual.
I guess building on that, because you've had exposure, like us helping a lot of people, online coaches grow their businesses. What are the common pitfalls that you see with them? Is it that back-end infrastructure that they have, that service, or what are the common problems you see that they face as an online coach before you actually transform their businesses?
I honestly just think, well, from my side, I honestly think we're just not coaching to a high enough level. I honestly think that like most coaches out there could double, triple their business if they just coach to a better standard. And like, let's talk really, really simple here. When you look at the client base, imagine it like a skill cohort. You're always going to have those high performers. You're always going to have those people that are way behind, and you're always going to have those average people. What you've got to do is have your ear to the ground with every single one of those 3 categories and know when they're going off the line. And I think that there's this sort of behavior whereby, it's just a bad client, it's a hard client and things like that. I actually empathize with the client more, and I actually empathize, like, if a client's paying you a considerable amount of money for a program, it's not because they don't want it. So it isn't, and it's your job to help them find out and help, right, what is it that we need to do, working together to get you to your very, very best. So yeah, I just think from a coaching standpoint, we could be much more on it. And we could give our clients what they need and just preempt their problems before they arise. And the better that you are at that, honestly, your clients they'll just do something better.
I look at our own online health and fitness business and how we've grown to where we got to. When we've really driven the most amount of organic traffic is when we're posting world-class testimonial conveyor belt systems of side-by-side results, video testimonials of really high-end result, but then leveraging the tag and tagging the individual that we're working with, and that goes into their network, and then the flurry of referrals that come in from that. It's like, I need to learn more. How's this? That's down to being shit hot at what you do and capturing it.
I know, like, you've got your different companies, you're helping you reach the things, but I remember, like, in 2016, 17, 18, in the JG, and all you remember used to say was just like, you and a client, result, you and a client, result, you. And it's the first in the pudding.
Well, that's it. That's what ultimately people care about, is results and then relationship. And I think this is what we covered earlier, is that people don't realize how valuable the relationship is in the re-sign. Results should be a given. You should be world class. If you're coming in and delivering a high ticket service and charging a high ticket, they're investing in a destination which you're providing. That's a given. We're doing that. It's the thing that ultimately re-signs them, is that quality of relationship and being there, having that intimacy that creates the re-sign. Now, we've seen 9 times out of 10 is the relationship, like you were saying before, of going deeper with that client and enabling that. And that's what we've seen. The results should be like, you as a high performing man like me, that's the least we expect as business owners and men. You know, we're not here 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10. We're showing up to make sure this is a done deal. You're winning. Then the relationship is the key thing. You go and build and build and build for that re-sign, which is huge. For medium to long-term health of your business is nailing that, which is really, really key.
And on that relationship point, what did you find to like build those quality relationships like you found?
For me, when it was me, is very different to where it is now as a business and as a culture. And that's the big thing I want to come into is culture. Like I was saying to you on the other podcast, is that our clients, they're an extension of our coaches. My staff, they're an extension of me. My managers are certainly an extension of me. And that all starts from ultimately creating the values and standards as a company. And then the culture that we create in our online health and fitness business is one that is progressive at heart, humility, integrity, and ultimately just going excellence above and beyond to serve. and that is then ultimately orchestrated for our coaches to deliver to our clients. And that's where we grow from the ground, is giving a shit, quite frankly, going above and beyond, becoming the trusted advisor, making your dream become our dream, and enabling clients to feel that. Because consumers feel it, they see it, they feel it, they see whether you give a shit or care or not. And that's the key thing that they want to see. They want to feel value. Like in any business that we have, that is at the forefront of our methodology. And it's the little things that go away. You ask, well, how do you do that? How do you communicate? How do you create that relationship? It's, for instance, touch pointing and sending messages out of hours, maybe dropping a message at the weekend, showing that you go out of your boundary to ultimately serve someone else and make sure that ultimately you're readily available. You essentially care. That's what they want to feel as consumers. And I mean, like now where we've now been helping Fit Pros grow and scale their companies for now, maybe a good 5.5 years now, I know what a consumer wants to feel because I was once a consumer investing in mentors. And ultimately, a consumer wants to feel valued. They want the one-to-one assistance. Sometimes they want hand-holding. They want a return on investment, and they want to feel valued. And if you can do that, you're building good relationship. And if you're having a good relationship, your retention scores are going to be great. You're going to be getting great results for clients. It's a win-win scenario for everyone. But that all comes back to you being a leader, you being the person, the figurehead. And that's where I love being a leader. I love embracing and pulling people together, public speaking. This is where we're going. And it's like with what you've done in yours, it's creating that tribe, it's creating that community, like-minded individuals that are bought into the message. And that's where power and movement aggressively comes. And I know you've been immersed in great communities and you know this better than anyone with your experience.
Yeah. One principle that I just want to elaborate on from what you said about caring and things.
Yes.
I have a strong sort of a value that you build people up from strength.
Yeah.
And I feel like in the coaching space, we're not actually giving the client enough credit. So one of the first things that I would do, and I was actually doing this last night with some of the guys, is like, give me a time and an area that you're doing very well in, and it's how can we transfer that over? Because the big thing about you said about building that relationship is people hear you on the level that you speak to them at. So if you're talking down to a client, you're telling them why you can't do this, they will feel that. Whereas if you're talking up to them or on the same level, that changes the dynamic so much more. And again, like as James has said, it's like if you care and you want the result, you want it more than them. Like I honestly do feel like it should be like a 51-49. You should want it slightly more than them, and they come up. So it's like they'd be the two things that I'd say, like for anyone listening to this, is like, people hear you on the level that you speak them, so just really like think about your tone and build them up from strength and just want it more.
I think to add on to that, this is a really good point here, is that coaches that are starting out and online coaches who are starting out, that doesn't just happen. And what Ben's saying there, he's able to tell you the tonality, the verbal pausing, speaking up a level, because we've failed before in the past. You've learned the whole, you failed forward, and you realize this is what I need to do to get the best out of that individual. And that comes from reps, time in the hole, pushing, where you have matured in business to realize I'm a man manager. I'm in the business of people, and I know how to get the best out of people. Once upon a time, you probably didn't know how to do that, but you've learned that skill set because you've got a curious mind in growth, right? Growth mindset.
100%. And where this really started the click was one of my mentors. He turned around and said to me about, don't coach through the process, coach the person from the And if you look, you said about man management.
Yeah.
If you look at like a manager, let's say Sir Alex or whatever.
Yeah, I love this.
Like, if you look there, that's where you see them talking in different ways, delivering in different ways to get the best out of the individual.
Yes.
And when I said earlier on about intervening, it's like, right, how can we, like partnership, me and client, get the best out of you? What do you need?
I love this because I speak to my fulfillment manager, my project manager in JG Physique. And I constantly talk to him when we have our management meetings. He's briefing me on what's going on with the coaches, the team, and everything else. A lot of the conversations we have is we talk about, like, for instance, high-level organizations or teams and how they manage the game. Like, for instance, Ferguson, or if you look at, like, now Sir Jim Ratcliffe that's coming into Manchester with Ineos and what they did with GB Cycling, and looking at organizations, how efficient they were with people and getting the best out of people. I always challenge my managers, go and study these people. And I also say to my managers, like The Last Dance, I don't know if you've seen on Netflix with Michael Jordan and the Bulls. in the 90s. I said, go and study those teams. Go and study how they behaved, how they show up, the culture that was created. And that's what I get obsessed with is peak excellence and performance. There's people out there who've done what you want to do. Yeah. You want to go and model them. And that's why I've always said is that we're on this game of snakes and ladders. Typically, a lot of us at the bottom of the board and we want to climb to the top of the board. And then there's ladders in between that you can ultimately invest in. The ladders are people, mentors, people that have the tools, assets, and systems to shorten your learning curve and climb the board. Yeah. Sometimes you land on a snake, a bad experience, and you fall down the board. But then you've got to have the mental fortitude to pick yourself up and go and find the next ladder, because there's someone always out there who's gone and done that, and you've got to go and immerse yourself and surround themselves with that person. Yeah. I think a big thing for online coaches, and I'd love to know your thought on this, is that their brain is a computer, and it's how it's programmed is from their education, their upbringing, their parenthood, the university, their school, and that shapes their thoughts and feelings, and that is their program. But then what we've got to do is challenge ourselves to think bigger to reprogram our computers so we can achieve things that other people are achieving and get out of our comfort zone as such. You look at Elon Musk, he wants to go to Mars. He's thinking bigger, But some people are thinking, I can't get out of my 9 to 5 because I've got limiting beliefs. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's reprogramming your computer to ultimately think bigger. And yeah.
Oh, do you know, like literally on a coach starting out, the two things that I always thought about to help me sort of go over and beyond was, how can I put out a result every single week of the year?
Yeah.
And then the second thing was, how can I have their friends and their family talking about their result? That's like, those were two of my thoughts that I just thought about. Like, don't get me wrong, I thought about bigger things and way beyond that, but they were the two things that I always just go back to. And I know, like, right, if those two things are happening, they're moving forward. And like, if you're struggling with results, just start there and reverse engineer and go and find out the best coaches, go and find out the communities, go and find out how things are run, go and find out, like, how can you get your client out of a rut? Like, that's where you just need to start. That, because I think, like, people, they know where I can study high performers, but it's like, right, what's going to get you to do that on a regular basis? And you got to have that you got to have something to know that you're ticking off and it to reverse engineer.
I love it. Right, so just finishing to our final segment, because I know you're a busy man and we've got to go into different meetings. So I just wanted to conclude, because I want to give as much value as possible for the online coaches who are listening in right now, who are looking to grow their online health and fitness business, just like you've done. I want to know, what have been your top 3 tips, revelations, advice that you've got for them that can be actionable, that they can put in place and start seeing growth? Top 3.
Okay, so I was talking about in the podcast is, like, I'm a results-based coach, and that's what's helped me really get to where I am. The first thing that I would say is get the client to tell you the problem. And what you have to do that is you have to lead them to it. When you tell them, it's just not going to land as much. There is a time and a place where you do need to tell them. Now, great question. Just simply ask, if I was following you around right now, what would I tell you? And they'll tell you the answer. Yeah. Rather than you going in and saying, oh, I'm through this, that. Like, if I was with you right now, or if you were coaching you right now, what would be the thing that you would tell yourself? And the answer will come. And then, to go an extra layer on that, how would you tell it? And then they'll come up with the right tone that they need. And see, when you do that once, then that'll help you so much more throughout the coaching process.
I love that.
On the second point, like I said earlier on, is about build people up from strength. Like, when you have a client and you see, you know that they can do so much better. See, when you highlight, I believe in you, I know that you can do this. Look at all the success and what you've had to do in your career, or even get them to tell you about some of the sacrifices they've had to make. Hey, that's cool. Going getting your reps in your food's easy, is it not? Like, you just scaled a massive business, you just brought up a family, you've just moved the other side of the world. Like, come on. And see when you get that moment and you get them to realize how much strength and their own ability, you can get them on the offense. That's the thing, is like, you got to get your client on the offense. And it's like, the better that you can get them on the offense, that's when things change. That's when they get results. And like, when you enroll a client, it doesn't register in the client's mind until they get their first result that they've actually made a transaction. So if that's 30 days, 60 days, whatever, you need to get that result ASAP, and then that's the moment where they'll register, especially online business where they're not physically getting something, they're getting it's a result. When they start to see that result, that's when the transaction's really made, and that's when they're like, you know what, this is good value.
Love it.
And then the third tip I'd probably say is just do whatever it takes. Like, do whatever it takes to get that client what they need. Like, if that is for a period in time, like hand holding them, giving them a checklist, if that is a period of time, jumping on a 20-minute call for 4 weeks in a row to get them into a green and a good space, then just do it. And like, unless you are literally like managing ridiculous amounts of clients, most people need to do that. You just need to get the hands in and just get stuck in, get the client winning. And the client, once you notice, when the client's winning, they'll help everyone else. They'll lift them up. That's when the culture gets lifted, the whole energy of the culture and the community gets lifted. But yeah, like sometimes you just need to like think, right, what's this client need and how can I get them thriving? And just do whatever it takes. And you'll know in that moment if you're really like convicted to get in there, you'll just know what they need. So yeah, just a little bit of like roll your sleeves up and get it done.
Absolutely. I like the first point you mentioned is holding that mirror up, because you realize that influence comes from them telling themselves as opposed to you telling them.
Yeah.
And the more you can enable them to build that certainty and confidence in themselves to answer those questions, the more influential you're going to be as a coach.
100%. And even like in some of my communication this week, like just being like, how do you feel like we're doing so far this year? Instead of like, oh, you're behind, you're this, you're this. It's a completely different dynamic, and it's much more appealing for them. I'm not doing too well. Right, can you give me the advice? I just find it's a game changer.
Love it. Fantastic. Mate, I'm conscious of your time and everything else. I really appreciate you hopping on. Guys, if you want to see more of Ben on a podcast like this, ask any questions that you've got, please do let us know down below. Ben, where can people find you?
Ben Heron /level up. And also as well, I have a podcast. I'm on Spotify and YouTube, and it is towards the guys that I work with. But I do think even listening to that, you'll hear a lot more on how I coach. Yeah. It's a very coaching heavy podcast, so you'll get a bit of an idea about a lot more depth on what I'm doing today.
You guys, extremely experienced. I've known Ben for a long time now. He's walked the walk. You can take a load of value from this guy, and I really appreciate you hopping on, mate. So he's one of the good guys in the industry, and he's leading from the front. So massive respect, guys. If you've got any questions for us, anything you want to see in the future episodes to come, let us know. Hopefully you enjoyed that. We'll see you later. Cheers.